The phoenix rising within you and the collective. Today, I want to talk about us tapping into renewal, into, in many ways, aspects of us that sometimes we have not unlocked or that we hide away. And how looking at the phoenix and what the phoenix represents can really help us look at what's going on in the world today and help us rise out of the ashes and become more strong, more empowered, and in many ways renewed. Right? Now, I believe that every single one of us came in with a soul essence and an essence and an aspect. It's like, well, it's not just one aspect, it's aspects of us, an essence that combines a lot of gifts, qualities, divine gifts, gifts that have been given from God, and they can come in all shapes and disguises, and they'll come. It's like almost this bundle of aspects that are a potential, right? Now, every single one of us, when we go through life, we all have all sorts of challenges and difficulties. No one, no one gets out scot-free from life. There is always things that cause us wounding. And we all know it's not just about what we face, it's how we deal with it, that often gives us the greatest strength, or how we choose to move through what life delivers us, right? What we do with that is often. But the reality is, no matter what is almost we create or we manifest or we attract into our life, there is key moments in our life that can really change us in some level. And I do think that at a core, there's lots of key qualities, right, that we have. But sometimes it's like the phoenix. We have to go back into the ashes. We have to get to a lowest part in life, in many ways, what you can call sometimes the dark night of the soul. You have to get to that really difficult point for things to break away, for you to see things differently or to do things differently. And we all have different lessons, right? And one of the things that I think is happening on the planet at the moment is the phoenix is rising for the planet. So even just not on an individual level, in many ways, things are being taken down to the ashes. Almost things are being broken down, and the old way, the old dialogues, the old belief systems, the old ideologies, old systems that were destructive, that were very egoic, that were very power driven. I don't mean as an empowered people being individual, but that, where people are just doing things to take power over everyone else, right? That kind of egoic power. The the this also where there's just a level of superficiality and materialism which has become almost almost overindulgent. I'm not really sure the word, but it's almost like it's greed on such a level of that there is no compassion for other people. It's not about sharing, it's about keeping. There's that level of selfishness where it's about everything. Certain ways of living is just about me and what I can get instead of the collective. All of that has been broken down. And also things like the things that are hidden, things that have been hidden, things that we have either chose not to see, or things that we couldn't see for lots of reasons, for maybe a level of awareness, consciousness, or just because of the way that society and the structures are built. We're also seeing, a shake-up in some ways of class systems, and also how people view certain people in society and parts of society. If we look at even the last 40, 50 years, there's been a big culture of placing certain people in like on a status, on a pedestal, as if they are more important, are more powerful, or, it's almost like people have gave their power and their own wisdom, their own discernment over to many people, maybe, for example, celebrities, politicians, governments, all sorts of things at a human level. Many of us have, and humanity has lost that personal sovereignty where it gives over importance over to other people and it doesn't use its own inner discernment. And that's also been part of another type of kind of class system that, someone's a celebrity, they're important, they're not important because maybe they're working class or whatever class or middle class. There's these kind of cultures. In some, obviously, countries, these things are more obvious than others. I belong to Scotland in the UK, and, there's been a kind of class system for many centuries. There's been a kind of class system and class symptom, really, of, a lot of things. And that, is about this, one part of society being almost more important than other people. But the reality is people at the moment are waking up. And at some level, this awakening in consciousness and an awakening in people's vibration and level of, in many ways, spiritual awareness is helping people to recognize that, every single person is a sovereign being and no person is any more important than others. And, I'm a great believer in that. And I'm also a great believer, like, for example, when we bring children into one, that children are special and that we should protect children. And I do believe in some level. So maybe I contradict myself. I think that children are here to be protected. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we protect our children at any cost, even if that's our own life. So having an element of that, that aspect of value. But what I would say is that in relation to class system, and in relation to our own sovereign power, the old structures are burning away and going down into the ashes. It may not be visible to everyone. People are maybe not aware, are only looking at the chaos and the control and the grip for control, the grip for censorship, the grip for certain powers to make choices that are not for the, not in the benefit of the masses. We're seeing this, all sorts of things to, become very much a kind of a monitored world where, digital systems start to monitor people and every move and surveillance, all that. It's getting a level of insanity. But the reality is, just like the phoenix, when the phoenix, dies and it goes down into the ashes and it can almost burns itself. It burns away all the old shadow and the old things that no longer serve that soul. If you imagine if the phoenix, there's different beliefs in what the phoenix represents and what actually happens and what that does represent in some different layers. But if we keep it simple and if we think about the phoenix being an essence of you, or even an essence of the collective, and an aspect of that burns away in the ashes, and then out of that comes a new phoenix. But the reality is the essence of the phoenix is still there. And if we think about so many situations in our life, we have a choice every day to rise up and be like the phoenix. And no matter what mistakes we made yesterday or things that we didn't see, and sometimes we make decisions on just a level of understanding, aware, and consciousness. But we have a chance, for example, each day to make different choices. We have a chance every day to rise up and become more empowered. But it is those pivotal times in our life that often the most challenging times in our life, that it's not till we really are taken down into the ashes, taken down into the pits sometimes in our life with the most extreme challenges or really hard sittings, hard, situations, that we actually rise up. And, I listened to something the other day, and it's something that often, we say as therapists and healers, sometimes what a client wants and what they need is very different. People can want things. People can want things in life. They can want a certain life, a certain journey. A soul can set, maybe has different plans for what the ego of the individual is. And, there's a lot about, manifesting and attracting, but sometimes there's an aspect of the soul has to experience something to be able to rise up in power, to become more empowered, to really live the life that they were truly meant to be, to do their mission. And we can all only go by our own experiences, I look at clients, and there's many clients that have extreme circumstances and they've all got their own path, and sometimes along that path they couldn't understand, like us all, very frustrated, thought they would never get out of certain difficult situations, and thought, oh my God, why me? Or why is this happening to me? What did I do to attract this? But often out of some of these most extreme situations creates so much purpose and a mission, and leads people to do great things. But at the time when we almost feel as if we're dying, and there's part of us sometimes dying away, and it's sometimes aspects that no longer serve us. It can be the lesson that we had to learn. It can be the situations we're attracting. It can be for us to look at life or other things in a different way. And we don't always know the bigger picture. I know for me, lots of challenges in my life. I remember, one of my sisters always says to me, or she used to say to me, for a long time, my goodness, I think you're cursed, because compared to my other family members, in regard especially to my health, she kept thinking, this is just insane what happens to you in the amount of things. And now I understand many things, why certain things happen to me, because I can look back and so many things that happened to me gave me a lot of rich lessons and made me, in many ways, detach or change my beliefs, change my views, and look at things less naively. Like lots of people have been, quite a naive child in some ways, very empathic and sensitive. And in some ways, I think I was switched on in other ways, because you're very intuitive and very empathic, you can often see things and sense things that other people can't see, and you notice the subtleties. But there's also, like most of us, we all want to believe in good all the time, and we want to see the positive in things all the time, but that doesn't always serve us. Now, one of the biggest things about humanity at the moment is that people are having to face the dark. And I've talked about this recently, already, is that when you don't face the dark, when you spend your life hiding and not facing the dark, you can't get strong. You can't become empowered. It's like when you become a healer. One of the things that I believe now, and, being in studying in the holistic industry for about 35, nearly 35 years. And, somebody that's worked in the industry, self-employed for nearly just under 25 years. I look at a lot of things very differently. And also one of the things, for example, with healing, I do think that a lot of healing, the way that a lot of healing's taught, should be a lot longer. And there should be certain things that people do because there's a lot of naivety. And there's a lot of people don't understand things like which people are actually having to fast track their way through at the moment is recognise, for example, that we're in a spiritual war. And in a spiritual war, the enemy sometimes uses very dirty tactics and can use a lot of psychic and dark warfare, right? And no matter how you take, you can take this, what I'm saying, whatever way you want, to be honest, but the reality is that, you can't tackle you have to tackle a spiritual warfare from a spiritual perspective, right? And the healer, for example, or the therapist or the coach that does not face the dark and refuses to see the dark, does not have the tools to go into the dark. If you think about it, if you don't have a torch and you don't have the tools to venture out at night in the pitch black, there's no light, and you don't know where you're going, you can't navigate that path, right? When you have experience and wisdom, good intuition, and when you've learned things out of experience and you understand how to find light in the dark and how to overcome the fear, well, things change. But one of the things that happens with a lot of people, particularly when they do a lot of just fast track courses and they don't develop their own growth or they don't use their own discernment and ask questions and even don't think out the box, they just take what someone's telling them and think that's everything. You become very limited in your perspective until you have other experiences that show you that maybe what we were taught is not the big picture. Now, at the moment, a lot of, for example, people that regard themselves as healers or light workers are having to face a lot of hard truths, particularly if what some of us more experienced healers will call what we call the love and light brigade, people who just focus on the love and light, refuse to see the dark, and do not believe in some ways in aspects of the dark. What happens in that denial, they're actually playing out with the wounded child, the child that wants to be the never-ending, eternal child that doesn't want to grow up. When the reality is that often when we face the dark in our own lives, when we face the dark within ourselves, when we face the dark in the world, and that doesn't mean that you go looking for the dark. That's not, you don't have to go down the rabbit holes, but you still have to have enough discernment and the ability to have be open and to be able to challenge your beliefs, right? Because often we all have certain belief systems that we hold on to so tightly that are part of our identity, right? That we don't grow, we don't evolve, we don't expand, and when we don't evolve and grow, we can actually stop our own soul's growth, our own mission, our own purpose growth, because even though we're all here for different reasons, and I believe that fully, we're all here to work with different clients, and different people, and to do different jobs and different roles. And, some people, like for example, when they go into the healing, the coaching and therapy, some people never do it as a job, but they actually use those skills, those level of awareness out in and they actually do other jobs, and they light those jobs up. They bring a certain level of consciousness and awareness and they put their energetic blueprint into that work, and they change certain types of fields. They change the collective energy and the thoughts and the beliefs of the people around them, and they can often make a bigger impact than even a lot of us that have been in the healing industry 30, 40 years and doing work with masses amount of people. This is what you've got to understand. Everybody has a different role. We also have to be aware that when we're in a journey, if we get to a point where we're stuck and we are refusing to move forward, or we're stubborn, we're not taking self-responsibility for inaction. Because a lot of people talk about action, what actions are you doing, what you're doing, what you're saying, this kind of thing. But inaction, I'm not saying, sometimes, of course, we have to get off that hamster wheel of always being reactive or acting out all the time when it's time to step back. It's important to rest. It's important to relax. It's important to switch off. It's important to meditate, and it's important to trust when you're being guided to step back. Right? We all need to do that. But there's also times where many people self-sabotage because of this unconscious disabling fear that keeps them in cognitive dissonance, that keeps them in denial, that keeps them thinking that if they just focus on certain things, that things will go away and it won't happen. And we have to get into, of course, we all want to create this positive blueprint in the world. It's so important. It's so important that we all focus on creating and manifesting and co-creating this new gift, right? But if you're not facing your pain, you're not facing your wounding and your biggest fears, and you just want to keep hiding in a little hole, you're going to rise, right? You need to face things. And if not, sometimes what happens is something else comes along and force you to either stop, force you down that hole, force it to take away all sorts of things in your life to make you back to basically fall down into the ashes, so that you have a choice. It's almost sink or swim, or rise or remain down there. The world is rising, the phoenix is rising, and so many of you are rising, right? And the key here is rising in your soul, not rising in the ego, not rising into what you think you need to be and you must be, but rising in what your soul's purpose is, your true calling. The phoenix rising, and so are you rising, right? And if you need help in some of this area, I have so much content in the brand new Soul Empowered Success. It might change, the name might change. I've been playing about, some of the names slightly changed already, but it's my brand new membership. And it's about soul empowerment. It's about soul alignment. It's about helping people get more soul connected and soul empowered in their life and their business. So there's lots of content like meditations, inner healing work, inner child work. I'm going to also add in some intuitive modules. And there's also business and marketing and weekly email coaching, particularly if you buy the gold. A lot of these kind of the things I'm talking about are mostly in the gold. The silver has some basic stuff in it. But if you want to really become more soul empowered in your life, in your purpose, and in your business, check out this program. I've decided to make things a lot simpler for me, and I've moved so many of my courses into this one membership because I know so many of you are rising. It's almost like you're beginning to really own the real soul, your real soul, right? And you're really beginning to rise into the phoenix. You're rising out of the ashes, and you're rising in this powerful way to share your gifts and to really step into your mission is so important right now. And I would love to support you. So make sure that you check that out. I'll also share some free resources that I think could help. Okay, bye-bye. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Bye-bye for now. And if you like this video, please like, comment, or share. Bye-bye.